K-pop, for as great as it is, also has some serious flaws. Some may be blind to it all, but if you've been in it for as long as I have, you will have taken note of how the genre and fans can be incredibly hypocritical of many aspects involving the industry. Sad to say, but I have several videos ahead of me tackling the multiple facets of K-pop, and for this one, we're taking a look at the hypocrisy in K-pop. As a gay man, you can expect that I will come with receipts, honey. Buckle up and let's get ready to call them all out. The first hypocritical standard I want to talk about in K-pop are the beauty standards. There are two issues with this. The first is when idols are bashed about a particular flaw in their appearance. Basically, something they're born with. Instead of fans embracing that flaw, they bash them until the idol actually corrects that feature, and then they're bashed again for looking cheap and fake. On the other side of it, when it comes to appearance and body image of the beauty standards, female idols are expected to maintain an almost unrealistic standard of beauty, often being criticized for weight gain or not conforming to strict beauty ideals. On the other hand, male idols are given more freedom with their appearance and may even be praised for gaining more muscle and having more of a natural look. We're just getting started, but you will come to realize that the way male idols are treated versus female idols is almost sickening. And just to be clear, not the good kind of sickening. Now, when it comes to dating and relationships, that's another story in and of itself. To me, I always kind of find it funny how fans always want the best for their idols and expect them to be happy. But when it comes to relationships and dating, they always expect their idols to be available to them. Therefore, many companies enforce dating bans on the idols, and some often are just never to even come out to the public that they could be even romantically interested in the opposite sex, or even anyone for that matter. And so here we are in 2024, even to today, you see any idol that comes out with breaking news that they might be in a relationship with someone, their career is over, or they have to break up with that person, or everything is just frenzy, if that's even the right word to use here. Chaotic. Let's go with chaotic. Heaven forbid they find someone they love, but when those fans find out that their bias is no longer available to them, the fans will oftentimes boycott the idol to make sure that they course correct, or the idol knows that the fans no longer approve of their happiness. Oh, and one more thing to say. I always find it so sickening that the idol has to come out and apologize for dating someone. At the end of the day, we are all human. And we have needs. Do not act like you're on this high horse that you thought you could be with that idol. Get yourself some local dick. I don't know if this exactly falls into the hypocritical category, but I just love talking about this particular concept. The obsession with charts and streaming culture in K-pop. That is something that can be scientifically studied, if you ask me. There's almost sort of like a sports-like mentality in how fans will rally together to endlessly stream a song or refresh a view or buy an album to boost their faves' chart positions and help them win awards. And of course, to help them gain notoriety. It's a lot. I mean, that's been K-pop culture for, 2 decades. Actually, since the very beginning. And when it comes down to it, it's all about winning. There's nothing about the enjoyment of music or appreciating the art of it. Nothing about that. It's always about making sure that their fave is number one or breaking a record. And at the end of the day, it's never really about the reflection of enjoying the music. It's K-pop. It's a music genre. But oftentimes that never seems to be the case when it comes to fans. Another one I find so interesting is how K-pop always builds itself up to be positive and a great community, but it's oftentimes filled with fan wars and online attacks. It never ceases to amaze me how fans will viciously defend their favorite groups, but they will also attack other idols and groups online. And then, what ends up happening is that they will condemn this behavior when it's directed at their own faves. Sweetheart, you can't have it both ways. This is why we say pot calling a kettle black. I always find it weird when K-pop fans expect their idols to be perfect, or think that they are perfect. not realizing that they are human too. Therefore, these fans expect them to be flawless singers, dancers, or visuals, criticizing any perceived mistakes. But when an idol finds themselves in a personal struggle or needing some sort of mental health break, these same fans are often not as supportive. As a longtime K-pop fan and someone who has lived there, I do appreciate that there is much more attention to mental health in K-pop. It is long overdue. But unfortunately, there's still a long ways to go. And if you're interested, I even did a video on mental health in K-pop in Korea, and if you want to, you can check it out after this video. Another thing I want to point out, I always find it funny that fans always strive to make sure that their idols' lives are private and that they respect their privacy, but they will always be obsessed with the details of their personal lives and follow them on social media and dissecting every interaction. That's not even getting into the sasang side of things. Do fans not realize that this entire idea is very hypocritical?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
It might be best to redirect that energy and efforts to something that's more impactful on the world, maybe. While this is the root of parasocial relationships, I do actually go more in depth on that on another video of mine on this channel. Feel free to check it out if you like. And while you're at it, do not forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons for me. I appreciate all your love and support, and thank you so much for watching. Let's continue. In case you didn't know, I used to live in South Korea, and I know what it's like firsthand to live in the closet there. Even when I first personally got into K-pop, I always thought it was such a culture shock with how they treated skinship and homosexuality. Basically, everything was very incongruent. It really was astonishing to see the idea of shipping and expecting fan service from the idols from all cultures. Even living in Korea, so many Koreans there always thought the male idols were gay. Even though statistically there were definitely a few idols that had to be gay. But when it came down to it, they always thought that there was no such thing as a gay Korean. When I was living there, Koreans often thought homosexuality was some sort of influence from the Western society. It was honestly very disappointing and exhausting to have to dispute that. And then you look at K-pop. Again, statistically, there had to have been at least a few gays in there. But the idea of any idol was to ever to come out, they would be bashed and could never be supported by their choices. Because it would be thought that they were influenced by this and never born like that. Therefore, I always found it to be so jaw-dropping how often you would see what would be considered homosexual acts displayed right there in front of the fans and expected to do so, but at the end of the day, they can never be gay. This, to me, was very disheartening as someone that was in the closet at the time, and something you see held up even to today. I don't want to get too deep into this because it is always a very controversial subject in and of itself, but there is always a hypocrisy when it comes to international appeal versus cultural appropriation. Let's be real. I'm going to draw this upon my thesis research and everything I did in my master's program about K-pop. K-pop has always been founded on drawing upon other cultures. The entire genre draws inspiration from everywhere around the world, tailors it to its own music genre and taste, and then basically packages it to international appeal and global taste. But I always find it so hypocritical in two ways. People will oftentimes criticize the genre for copying other concepts or international things, but that's basically all music. There's nothing really original anymore, so you can get off that high horse. That horse is dead, honey. Music is finite. You actually will be sampling or drawing inspiration or something when it comes to past decades or other cultures for that matter. K-pop does a really interesting job of, packaging the music and doing concepts related and reflecting around a culture. And so there's a way of paying homage to it, but it is disappointing to see how people will pin it to cultural appropriation and not understanding that it usually oftentimes is meant to pay respect or homage to other cultures. As someone who has lived in Asia, particularly South Korea, Japan, and Singapore, all of Asia, for the most part, is typically a collectivist society. They are oftentimes honored when their culture is being paid homage to. It's never really a case that they are doing it with ill intentions. You need to look at it more as that they were inspired by it. At the end of the day, it's 2024. We are much more of a globalist society, and we're going to be drawing upon each other's cultures more and more in the coming decades. It's because of the internet that allows us to tap into other societies and realize what else is out there in the world. We can all learn from each other and be inspired by each other. And when it comes to a commonality like K-pop, where we all find a common interest with it, this is something that has brought us all together, where we can be inspired by each other and learn a lot from each other. Do you see where I'm going with this? Let's embrace the beautiful tapestry of our world. This sort of inspiration fuels progress for us all, where this is the power of a global society, united by not uniformity, but by empathy and understanding of each other. Well, that's it for today, friends. Let me know what your thoughts are on all of these topics, and let me know if you've thought of any other hypocritical moments that occur in K-pop. Share below, maybe I could do a part 2. But stay tuned for more facets of the K-pop industry that I plan to discuss next. Until then, hit the like and subscribe buttons for me, check out many more of my videos, and I shall see you next time.